Preparing to live stream to the meeting. Yay! And I just realized I need to get a headset if I'm going to hear you. So you may be it on screen for a second, I think.
Okay.
Volume down.
Yeah, I'm plugged in because I just don't trust the bird not to be heard.
Yeah, we are actually live now. I need to get a headset if I'm going to hear you. So hold on a sec. On screen for a second. I'll be right back.
All right. Hey, Michelle will be back right now. Let's vamp. Come along and sing a song and join our jamboree. MICKEYMOUSE. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Diane kill time for me.
I'm vamping.
Do this well enough.
It's worse. I could start the world's worst Disney earworm, but I'm not going to do that at the top of it.
Okay, wait, I can't because I'm still not. This is a different kind of jack, isn't it? Maybe it's on this side. I did not think this through.
That's okay.
Hold on.
We're holding. And we're holding. And we're holding. Do not give me any spoilers about this week's Mandalorian because I haven't watched it yet. Because I had to wait for my husband. But anyway. Nor have I seen this week's One Day at Disney short, and I love those. If you haven't, they're really cool, and they really show you the variety of people who work for the Walt Disney Company. Now streaming on Disney+.
Okay, I still don't know if this is going to work. Give me a track here. Oh, this could do it. Aha! Ah! There, I now get to hear you. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
There we go.
There she is.
All right, so I need to turn that. Give me a sec. Hi. I'm going to pause me here. There we go. So now I don't have to hear it there. All right, let's see if anybody is in here. Hello, whoever is watching. Jump in, say hi. Because it is now just 7 o'clock. I'm going to switch back here. So this is going to be our first time doing Zoom and a live chat at the same time. And there I am, I think. Hold on. There we go. Yeah. Whoops. Hi, guys.
Hello, full head.
Okay, welcome to our first attempt at doing a live Zoom chat Disney thing.
Yay.
Not using the same interface I normally would when I'm doing a live chat, so I'm seeing things differently because of going through the Zoom system first. So this is going to be interesting. There we go. All right, I'm gonna turn the volume off on this. I'm gonna turn it. Okay, there we go. So, I'm gonna give it just a minute or so to see if anybody else is here. If you are here, ladies and gentlemen, please jump in, say hi. In the chat over there, I believe it is for you guys. And so I have a special guest tonight. We're very excited. This is Diane. Diane is someone I have known for many, many years. She performed with me at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. And she is the only person that I personally know who has been to every single Disney park and Aulani. And yeah, and she
the Walt Disney Studios.
Lots of them. Hello, Randy. Welcome, Randy Dalmas. So if you guys have questions during this whole conversation, put them in the comments on the side in the chat box, and then I will be able to, beyond the questions she and I will be chatting about, we will take your questions and throw them in as well. So there'll be a little bit of a time delay, obviously, for those coming up, but we're just going to kind of start in and start chatting about Disney. Yay.
Yay.
So you have been to every single Disney park. So before we start talking about your favorites or different things like that, tell me about what's the order you discovered or visited them all in.
Okay. The very first park I went to was the original, and I was 2.5 years old in 1963. There is photographic proof of that. And back in those days, folks, I was blonde, and I was blonde as a toddler, and then I became a brunette. And the biggest thing I remember about that trip was Mickey Mouse talked. And the character actually could talk to people. And I confirmed that with the late founder of the Disney Archives, Dave Smith. I said, was there a time when the characters in the park, the costumed characters, actually spoke to guests? And he said they did until they changed the rules in the mid 60s. And I was waiting patiently while he was patting a little baby on the head. And I remember that when it was my turn, he said, "Oh, I'm tired," patted me on the head, and went backstage. And this scarred me for life until I was 40 when I got my revenge. My second trip, I went to Disneyland twice in the 1960s. My grandfather lived in San Diego, so we would go out every other year, and a couple times we drove all the way up to Anaheim to do the parks. And then in 1982, when I was with my then fiance, he lived in South Florida in Pompano Beach. And as a teenager, he went up to Disney World all the time. And so between Christmas and New Year's, well, we went down to visit his parents because they had not met me. And then we were driving up to Michigan so he could meet my parents. We stopped for a couple of days during Christmas and New Year's at Walt Disney World. And it was just after Epcot opened and you couldn't get anywhere near Epcot. So we only did the Magic Kingdom for 2 days, staying in a motel in Kissimmee. And then gradually worked our way through the Walt Disney World parks as they opened. So it would have been Epcot in 86 and Hollywood Studios, then MGM Studios sometime in the 90s after our son was born. And then Animal Kingdom. And then in 2001, added in Disney California Adventure. And then in 2017, my husband wanted to go to Japan and China. The price he paid was I got to go to all 3 Asian Disney parks. And we also stopped in Chengdu so that I could see the 2 National Zoo giant pandas who had then gone back to China. So I got to work half a day as a volunteer with Taishan and Bao Bao. That's how much dedication that he had was, I'll get you there. You can do Disney. I was like, thank you. We'll go. And then last year, we did our very first Adventures by Disney trip, which was a week-long trip on the River Seine in France. And we tacked on the last 2 parks, Walt Disney Studios and Disneyland Paris. So that was how we finished all of the parks.
Okay. I'm dealing with a whole lot of unfortunate technical issues right now, so I'm rearranging stuff. If the audience guys, if you get feedback or anything, let me know. Unfortunately, I missed a lot of what you were saying, but I heard a bunch of it. So, all right. So, what is your favorite of all of the parks?
It's the original. It's Walt's Park. It's Disneyland. And I think some of that comes from, and I'm talking about what they now call the Magic Kingdom at Disneyland Resort. It is the place that Walt built. And when I walk into that park, I feel like a kid again. And I always, when I'm at the end of an evening, the last thing I ever do, if you do not know this, Walt had an apartment above a fire station on Main Street. And to this day, there's a lamp lit in the window for him. At Christmas, it's a Christmas tree. And when I leave the park, I look at that and I always say, thank you, Uncle Walt. And I just have it. It's just such a charming little park. And it has Walt's fingerprints all over it.
Yeah.
You'll be very surprised, though, as to what my number 2 park is.
What's your number 2 park?
Shanghai Disneyland.
That does not surprise me after conversations we've had.
Yes. And the reason for that is Shanghai Disneyland, which is the newest park. Mm-hmm. Imagine if the Imagineers who built Disneyland in the 1950s had the 21st technology. That's Shanghai Disneyland.
Wow.
It's also probably one of the most beautiful parks because of how it was designed. And it was designed with a lot of care to Chinese culture. So certain things say in Fantasyland, are not where they are in other parks.
Right.
Dumbo the Flying Elephant is in front of the castle because that's what the feng shui said.
Interesting. Okay. No, that's very
It's
cool.
actually in the garden area. It's not technically in Fantasyland.
But that kind of makes sense. That aesthetic of okay. So they're physical rides out in the gardens because the gardens are their version of Main Street, right?
No, they have a main street. I took notes to get them all correct. They call it Shanghai. Actually, two of the parks do not call them Main Street USA.
Okay.
Most of them do. Hong Kong calls it Main Street USA, and Paris calls it Main Street USA.
Okay.
Tokyo calls it World Market.
Okay.
And Shanghai calls it Mickey Avenue.
Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
No, because I thought you said Shanghai before. So Shanghai. So it's
Tokyo.
You're talking Hong Kong Disneyland calls it Main Street. And then
World Bazaar is what Tokyo calls it.
Okay.
Is World Bazaar, and then Shanghai calls it Mickey Avenue.
Okay. Now that's very cool though. All right, so all of the parks, we're going to go through some of the specific rides now. All of the parks have a version of the Haunted Mansion.
Shanghai does not.
I thought they had oh, really?
No.
So
and that is it's a cultural thing more than anything else.
So again, how does Hong Kong have it if Shanghai does not?
It's technically not a Haunted Mansion.
That's Phantom Manor, right?
Mystic Manor.
Okay.
Mystic Manor at Hong Kong. You have, first of all, Haunted Mansions are my favorite attraction, period.
Okay.
And so you have, and the interesting thing about them is every single version of a mansion ride is not in the same land. All of them are in different lands.
Okay.
So Disneyland is in New Orleans Square.
Right.
Walt Disney World is in Liberty Square. Tokyo's is in Fantasyland.
Okay. Paris is in Frontierland.
Paris is in Frontierland, and there's a great reason for that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God. Phantom Manor. And Hong Kong is in its own little area called Mystic Point.
Okay.
And that is Mystic Manor, and it is not a haunted mansion, again, for cultural reasons.
Right.
Something about the Chinese traditions has a real problem with ghosts. So therefore, it is not haunted, but it is probably one of the most fun little rides I've ever been on. It's fun.
I've seen video of it. It's just adorable.
Where's Albert? Here's Albert.
I don't know where Albert. There he is.
Albert.
Hey, Albert.
This is Albert. Albert is from Mystic Manor.
Yep.
And he is the little mischievous companion of Sir Henry Mystic.
Who is an adventurers club.
Who is of the Adventurers Club, yes.
Do you watch Offhand Disney? Have you ever watched the channel Offhand Disney on here?
I have not, no.
He ties Jungle Cruise and the Adventurers Club and the Haunted Mansions and all of the storylines from all the different parks. He'll sit there and he weaves them all. It's hysterical.
Oh yeah.
He's all excited about how it's basically one big universe, and now Marvel's part of it because Disney now owns Marvel.
Yes, I know.
It's hysterical. He's been doing a couple of them where he just kind of daydreams and plays with it, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
What's wonderful about Mystic Manor?
Joe is asking if Mystic is a trackless ride, which I believe it is.
Yes, it is, and that's what makes it super fun. Is that it's the same system that is used for Pooh's Honey Hunt in Tokyo.
Yep. And
Ratatouille has it. And there's also a trackless version of Pirates at Shanghai. But it's not RFID. The one at Mystic Manor, and you have 4 vehicles at any one time in the room, and they randomly go around and pass each other.
Oh.
And
yes. I'm going to throw one thing in real fast. Is since I know you haven't been on it yet, is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway uses this. So does Rise of the Resistance. Right. And
I was going to do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at my birthday week, but that didn't happen.
Sorry.
Because 2020.
Yeah.
But with Mystic Manor, what makes it so cool is you have Sir Henry Mystic is, of course, a collector.
I love
And
Aspen and Lemon, Randy.
it's a beautiful house, and he has all of these objects, and he's just acquired this music box. And
Yes.
Albert is his little companion, and Henry rescued him from a giant spider, and they became best friends. And he's like, ooh, ah. And Sir Henry says, don't touch that music box. And he leaves. And of course, the first thing that Albert does is touch the music box.
Yeah.
And then you go through all of these rooms, and all of the artifacts start to come alive, and they swirl around. And there are nods to the Jungle Cruise. There are nods to the Enchanted Tiki Room, and there is a nod to the Haunted Mansion. You get into a Pompeii sequence, and as a Roman mosaic of a beautiful young woman who suddenly turns into Medusa.
Oh, nice.
So that's the nod to the
Nod
Haunted Mansion.
To the portrait gallery. All right, we have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
Randy would like to know which is your favorite Haunted Mansion.
This is tough for me because, as I said, but it's Phantom Manor in Paris.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And the reason for that, first
That's
of
Paris.
all,
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Phantom Manor could not be done in the United States.
Mm-mm.
It is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
It is actually a scary ride. And to talk about Phantom Manor, the story behind it involves Henry Ravenswood and his daughter Melanie. And he also owns Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is haunted by the Thunderbird spirit.
Okay.
And he is very possessive of his daughter. Mm-hmm. And he does not want her to get married. So the stretching room portraits are how he gets rid of 4 of her suitors. One of them gets eaten by bears. One of them gets sawn in half on a log. One of them goes over a waterfall. And then he can't stop her from falling in love with a young train engineer named Jake. And on their wedding day, Jake disappears. And there is a giant earthquake that kills Melanie's parents, but the family is never seen again. And the Phantom Manor is the only one of the haunted mansions that is decayed on the outside.
Right.
Walt wanted them to not look decayed. So it breaks that rule. And the grounds are withered, and the boards are that. And there's a destroyed Boot Hill Cemetery in the back. And when you go to get into your doom buggy, Melanie is standing there a little bit Miss Havisham from Great Expectations on the staircase, looking out the window, looking for Jake. And she is controlled by the Phantom, who they redid the story a couple of years ago to make it clear the Phantom is her father's ghost.
Right.
And the other thing they restored was the Phantom Manor is done both in English and French.
Oh, wow.
And the English narrator is Vincent Price.
That's
he was originally, he recorded it before he died. He was barely used in the original. They restored him.
Yay.
And when you go, and as opposed to going into a graveyard when you go out the attic, because the earthquake caused the ghost town of Thunder Mesa to appear. So you're going through a haunted Old West town with saloons and gunfights and things like that.
Yeah.
And it is just such a really cool thing. But it's a really, really dark story. And so I think that's one of the reasons why, if they were to do something like that in a U.S. park, parents would not like that.
Ellie and Terrestrial.
Yeah.
Need I say more?
That too.
All right, so Joe said the new Beauty and the Beast in Tokyo he thinks is also trackless, and I believe that's correct.
Yes, that of course just opened this year.
Right.
It was under construction when we were there in 2017. There were a couple other things that we weren't able to ride at Tokyo, including we were not able to do their 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea at Tokyo Disney Sea.
Oh no.
And we were not able to do It's a Small World, because the thing about Tokyo Disneyland Resort is the only resort that is not owned in any way, shape, or form by the Walt Disney Company. It is it is owned by the Oriental Land Company, and they license Disney to do it.
Right.
And Disney has creative control over what they do with it.
Right.
The issue there is when you go to Tokyo Disneyland, I actually thought that Disney Sea was more creative because it's a brand new park.
Right.
Tokyo Disneyland, it's a lot. It's like we want a Disneyland, Walt Disney World. So you have Cinderella's castle, and it's almost identical, and it's the only one other than Florida to be Cinderella's castle. All of the other, Paris is a Sleeping Beauty castle, and Hong Kong was a Sleeping Beauty castle.
Right.
And
my understanding is they basically look at each park and take the best things out of each park, and that's what they put in theirs.
That's what they put in Tokyo. And so their Fantasyland has almost all identical rides of what they've got.
Right.
Their Pirates is really close, except their finale when you come. Captain Jack Sparrow, by the way, is now in every single Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. He's the closest to the boat at the end. You really are smack dab right next to him. As opposed to how he's kind of off to one side in the U.S. parks. And Paris has a much more interesting Pirates. For starters, you don't go down a waterfall, you go up a waterfall at the start of the ride. You actually go up on the ramparts of the fort at the beginning.
Oh, nice. Where that big battle scene is, you go up the ramparts?
You go up onto the ramparts of the fort, and then the pirates are like swooping over the top of you. And I was like, okay, this is cool.
That is cool.
You encounter the jail scene right at the top. And then you work your way back down until you finally come out and you're in the battle scene and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, it's a nice variation.
Yeah.
It's not the best Pirates in the world. That would be Shanghai.
Yeah. Seen video of that one, but that's
video. Yeah, Disney Parks just put up a full video of the entirety of the battle for the sunken treasure, which blew my mind when we rode it. I was like blown away by that ride. If you don't know, it is the only one that has a completely different storyline. It is completely based on the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. It is a battle between Davy Jones and Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh, nice.
In Mandarin, and it doesn't matter. You follow the storyline.
Okay.
And it has these gigantic 360 projection screens, and you're on the water, and you go underwater, and you go between these full life-size pirate ships, and and you have projection. Sometimes it's animatronics battling, and sometimes it's projections battling. And the technology, and again, the boats are run on magnets. That's how they do.
Oh, wow.
Those. That's how they get that trackless. So you're spinning around and going side to side and front and back. It's not a track. And so Pirates is probably the best ride I rode at Shanghai was that.
Wow. I mean, I've looked at that one and I'm like, yeah, I want to ride that one.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Tron's awesome.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I'm a motion sick person. So
It has curves.
I know it has curves. It doesn't go backwards. It doesn't go upside down.
Correct.
I can tell you that the up and downs of Slinky Dog actually do me in.
Okay.
But I can do Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That's like my line.
With Tron, I will say this. There's a couple things they do with you. One, and I'm really hoping that Florida does this. They do, like at Universal and Forbidden Journey, you cannot take any objects on the ride with you. You must put them in lockers. And then when you actually get snapped into the light cycles, kind of like Flight of Passage, where it comes and locks you in on the back of your legs and on your back, and you're bent over. Okay. There is a box between the handlebars for you to put your phone and your glasses. You have to put your glasses in there.
So I will be blind.
Yep.
That might help.
And then the ride's about 2 minutes, and I will just say this: I have some problems with motion sickness. That's why I don't do drop rides.
Right.
It made me a little, but I never got the bile up in my mouth.
Good, especially
to be gross about it. which we will not talk about. Well, we'll talk about it, but the biggest mistake I made my entire life was riding Crush's coaster at Paris's Walt Disney Studios. Oh
Okay.
my
Okay. Well,
God.
let's start with that. Your least favorite ride in all the parks is?
Least favorite. It probably, well, in terms of what it did to me, let's talk about Crush's coaster.
Yeah, the ride
Um,
will never ride again.
well, it's a slow loading ride. It's a constantly loading, but you have
Okay.
4 people, 2 facing forward, 2 facing back. It's another one of these that's a hybrid of a dark ride and a coaster, but it's mostly coaster. I had my
Right.
eyes closed for most of it and I almost throw up on it. And I had French teenage girls who were laughing at me for having to sit on a bench when I got
Oh, right. Yeah,
off.
okay. Okay. When I rode Tower of Terror and I got off that thing and I literally my feet were shaking this high off the ground. I was so terrified from the thing. So
Yeah.
I wanted to try it once. I've got these like 14 and 13-year-olds from New Zealand going, "Oh, you'll love it. It's great. It's so much fun." I'm like, "Shut up, kids."
Oh,
I was
my favorite Tower of Terror story, because Patrick and Kevin will ride it. They had nervous teenage girls in there, and they're in the back row, and these girls are like, "I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared." And so Patrick turns to Kevin and goes, "I can't wait till we get to the cool part." And his dad plays along and says, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, when they drop each row individually."
in Tower of Terror.
Yes, he was lying to scare the girls. Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Kevin can be, I mean, Patrick can be cruel.
Yeah.
And they believed him.
Oh, you're evil. You're evil. Well, he is. Okay. All right. So what do we got here? I won't do Tower. I let Sid do that while I hang out in the animation building in DCA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I was told, because you've done Guardian. Have you done Guardians?
No, Patrick has. He loved it.
Okay. Because I've been told that when they designed Tower, they consciously were designing it to scare you. So everything, including the patterns that you drop and everything that's programmed in, is designed to set you on edge and scare you. Whereas Guardians, because they're a comedy, is set to make you laugh, is set to adjust, to kind of change that dynamic for you, so that people who get motion sickness or freaked out on Tower don't get as upset on Guardians.
I just can't handle the drop. I'll just tell you that right now.
I told you what I was like on a drop.
Yeah.
It was not fun, but
Yeah.
okay. So, what is your favorite ride in each of the parks? Will be nice to you. I'll let you do it that way first.
Okay. At Disneyland, it would be Haunted Mansion, because that is my favorite ride, period.
Yeah.
At DCA, Cars Land, Radiator Springs Racers.
Which gets me a little queasy.
And again, I had an advantage there in that I got to have a preview of all of Cars Land by Kathy Mangum, who was the head Imagineer.
Ooh.
And I stood on the balcony, 8th floor balcony of Tower of Terror, overlooking the construction site while she pointed stuff out to me down below.
Okay, was this DC20? DC?
That was a D23 back in the days when things they don't do anymore. They did a live auction, and I won the right to attend the opening of Cars Land. And it included going a few months earlier to do this. And it was supposed to just be 2 of us.
Yeah.
And my handler made it possible. So, because Kevin wasn't going to go, he's going to let Patrick go to the actual opening.
Okay.
And instead, she made it so all 3 of us could go. And it was supposed to be one day, the day before it officially opened to the public. We got to go to the celebrity party the night before.
Oh, heck.
The Wednesday night party, where we stalked Larry the Cable Guy all night by accident.
Oh, no.
He was there with his family, and every time we turned around, we rode Mater's Junkyard Jamboree with Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh, no, that's awesome.
And when we got off, Kevin walked up to him and said, "So, how weird is it hearing your voice?" And he goes, "Pretty darn weird." We walked into Flo's V8 Cafe, and they were ordering food when we were ordering food. And
oh, funny.
And, the disgraced John Lasseter was there with his whole family, wearing a suit with a Hawaiian shirt, because that's what he does.
What he does, yeah.
And, there were a bunch of other people. And then the next day, with our VIP guide, we got to go back into California Adventure and skip lines. There was no lines for anything. So 5 minutes to get onto Toy Story Midway Mania as many times as you want to.
Oh,
And then we had another 5 hours in Cars Land to continue riding stuff. So there is a video that was done by Inside the Magic of Luigi's when it used to be the air ride, which didn't last more than a couple of years. And they originally put beach balls.
Yes.
We're in that video. You're in that
video. Okay.
I'm in that video. I will say this. I understand why it got redone. I think the current version of Luigi's
it's cute.
It loaded too slowly. People didn't understand how to make them move. And the beach, that's why they added the beach balls to make it fun. It was fun throwing them at people.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a reason why the flying saucer ride that was in Tomorrowland died a death. And that's why. And it was John Lasseter who wanted it. And that's why it was built that way originally.
Gotcha. With the whole, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Oh, what we got here? So don't talk about Joe not doing that. Joe says until the kid 15, the wife and I would take the kids through the now gone Bugs Land rides as a bonding thing. Okay, well, there you go.
One of the Bugs Land rides is now in
Inside Out.
It's the Inside Out ride that's down near on Pixar Pier.
Yep.
So they did preserve one of them.
I was glad because that's the one I like to ride. That's my speed. I admit it. All right, so that was Cars Land, and all right, so now we're in USA Magic.
Okay,
Kingdom.
so Magic Kingdom. I'm gonna go Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
I like Seven Dwarfs.
I love Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I think it was, again, I remember the D23 when they announced the expansion of New Fantasyland and how it went over like a lead balloon.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
The idea was pretty much nothing but various princess meet and greets. And they were already getting rid of Snow White. And so this was their way of bringing that in. And I think that for a very quickly put together ride, it's actually a lot of fun. And I do rock those cars. I actually make a point of rocking those cars.
Okay, don't ride with me then.
Okay, darn it. But it's fun to make them go side by side, especially through the dark ride section.
Okay, again, motion sickness.
Yeah.
I have discovered, though, the front car of that ride, I like it.
Yeah.
Because it goes slower than the other cars.
That's true on almost every roller coaster because
it
takes a while.
I thought I would be like when I did Hagrid's, which destroyed my brain cells. I ended up like saying, "Great, I got in the last seat in this car," and oh God, I'm in the last seat of this car. And I said to myself, "It will never be worse than the ride I am about to take." Yeah, well, then I throw up, so it was worse. I don't know that I'll not do that, but okay, it's all good. Okay, so that's Magic Kingdom. Epcot.
Epcot needs work. Epcot is getting work. As of what is there right now, probably I would put Test Track over Soarin'.
Okay. I miss old Test Track.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that. I liked both versions, except that when we went up to Epcot for one day because Patrick wanted to ride it when he was 6, and if you don't know the history of Test Track, it broke down all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And we were in line, and Patrick was the only thing he wanted to ride, and he was like 6. And it was like, we stayed in that line. It took us 3.5 hours to get on that ride. God, and as a result, I learned the trick, which is never get in line at Test Track unless you hear the cars zooming around the outside of the building. Then you know it's not down.
Right. If you get in line, yeah. By the way, guys, we are at the halfway point now of our chat, believe it or not. If you are in, sorry, I don't know if you saw that light come on. If you are enjoying this and you have not already done so, please remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, that's the thumbs up, which should be, I believe, down there. Put a comment in and let us know what things you want us to talk about in future. I can always bring Diane back if she is available and you would like to learn more. And yeah, good stuff. So yeah. All right. So we're talking now. So That's Hollywood Studios next. Now you're missing out the two biggies right now.
I have not done Rise of the Resistance or Runaway Railway.
And I would put those at the top. But without those,
I like Smuggler's Run.
I do like Smuggler's Run.
I am your engineer. And by the way, I love the Play Disney. You don't know how far up I am in the first order right now. I'm also a top-notch smuggler.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
With the Play Disney app where you can go all over Galaxy's Edge and play games. I do that all the time when I'm there.
Oh yeah, I've gotten some stuff. I like hit the things and I do them and I don't know what they mean. I don't know. Honda was trying to give me a job at some point.
Oh, I've done it all the time in there. But because I'm usually single riding, if you're single rider and you're on Smuggler's Run, and of course right now nobody is a single rider,
right?
You will be an engineer. And I actually have made like 9,000 or 10,000 credits from Hondo as an engineer, because I will get those 2 canisters for you and leave the ship intact.
Oh, nice.
So you want me as your engineer. I'm terrible. I'm a terrible pilot, but
I'm a pretty darn good gunner.
Yeah.
I'm a bad left pilot. I'm a decent right pilot, but I'm not great. I sucked in this seat. I was better in that seat. Okay, and then Animal Kingdom.
I will say this. I love Flight of Passage, but for me, Kilimanjaro Safaris, it's what that park is about.
Yep.
It's just what that park is about. Although my absolutely 100% favorite thing to do at Animal Kingdom is to take the first train of the day out to Rafiki's Planet Watch and watch vet exams.
Oh, yeah, I guess they all do them first thing in the morning.
They do. Usually they start first thing in the morning, and I've seen everything from, in fact, I was staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and they had a problem with one of the Marabou storks, and they were working on something. He had taken all sorts of crappy stuff out of his throat. And then the next day I go out on my balcony and there he is. And I'm like, that's the one they just operated on.
Oh, wow. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I would love to be able to I've done it later, and I've done the the drawing class they do out there.
Yeah.
Animal drawing class, which I like a lot. Okay, so now we're to Disneyland Paris.
Phantom Manor.
Okay,
although I'm going to give another nod. Disneyland Paris has the most beautiful castle. It is the best landscaped castle. And there's something there that is probably the coolest thing they have on there. And it's in the dungeon of the castle, in the grotto underneath, lives a dragon.
Yes.
And the dragon is awesome. And again, I don't think you could do that dragon. You would have to nicen him up to work in a U.S. park, but he's an audio animatronic. He's huge, and you're down there, and you wake him up, and he doesn't spit fire. He gets smoky, and he growls at people, and he moves around and threatens you, and then he goes back to sleep.
Yay! Okay, Joe says that back to the conservation station. That was my favorite at DAK. I took the backstage safaris, so we skipped the storyline and got the more zoological fact stuff. Oh no, just the safari itself. Yeah. I've done the Wild Africa Trek too. Did you ever get to do that one?
I've not done Wild Africa Trek, but I did one. They did a specialty one where it was an all-day thing where I got to go to the vet hospital and nutrition, and where they have all the marlin stuff. And then we went back behind the scenes with the elephants, and stuff. And it was an all-day thing, and it was really cool.
I did a half-day one called Backstage Tales that did that.
Yeah, this was a whole all day. You had a break in the middle.
Wow. Yeah, we got to spend time with the rhinos and stuff.
And then we also got Rivers of Light. We had a VIP Rivers of Light at the end of the day, which of course now Rivers of Light is no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice. I liked it.
I like it. It needs to be longer for how long you're sitting there waiting for it.
That too.
It's only 15 minutes.
It needs levels of dynamicism.
And I know they obviously you can't do fireworks in Animal Kingdom because
and that's
animals.
Fine. But I don't see if they had done a performance piece, like I know the Jungle Book show didn't do very well.
Right.
But if they started with a performance piece and then you got into the lights and then you added the water and then it ended with a fire, so you had that conscious continual build. I think theatrically it just didn't do enough. That was my personal opinion, but that's my personal opinion. Joe says Paris, how is the Alice maze?
We did not do it because
It's
of the rain.
It says on maps it looks huge, and I know that's
It
perspective.
is supposed to be very, very huge. It was a very, very rainy weekend in Paris last year, and
La la.
so there was a lot of stuff of us diving in and out. And by the way, both Tokyo and Paris, Tokyo puts a roof over their main street, their market bazaar, because they get
Right.
typhoon season.
Right.
And Paris has these hallways behind the stores on either side that also include different stores. And same thing, there's a giant soundstage that you go through as soon as you get into Walt Disney Studios
Right.
because of the potential for rain. They
Right.
give a lot of places
No.
for you to not have to immediately step out and you're out of cover and stuff. But
Yeah.
we were in the rain watching the fireworks at Paris on the last night we were in the parks.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's something romantic about fireworks in the rain.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the Disney Hollywood Park in Paris.
How that poor thing.
I know.
Well, I will say this, Ratatouille,
Okay.
and I'm disappointed that the extension, but I understand it, is not including the restaurant. We were going to eat there, but we
Oh,
had this
right.
gigantic meal in Paris the night before, and it's like, do we really want to stuff ourselves the next day at Gastos? And Ratatouille, again, I got a little motion sick on it. You don't wear you do wear, I can't remember if you wear 3D glasses on this one or not. But again, it's trackless.
Right.
And you're scurrying around because you are the rats being chased out of the kitchen. And they,
Right.
again, they have these big screens that show the chef trying to hit you with brooms and stuff. So you're constantly scurrying and back and forth and back and forth and hiding and this, that, and the other. It's
Gotcha.
a lot of fun. But if you do have motion sickness problems, you might get a little bit on Ratatouille. But I'm looking forward
Okay.
to both it and Tron when they hit.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised. It wouldn't surprise me at all if eventually they redo the main restaurant in France as tied to Ratatouille. It would be a natural fit.
Oh, well, they are adding a creperie.
That's not what this is an honest to God 6
Right,
to 7
right. In
course meal.
Disneyland Paris, yeah. Or Disney Paris.
And the problem I will say with Walt Disney Studios is, like I said, right now, when we wrote it, they still ran the backstage tour. And it was so gone, kind of like it was at Hollywood Studios before they finally shut it down. But they had two cool things that I was like, oh, this would have been nice when they were doing the whole thing. One was they still had the earthquake scene where, you get driven in and they do the special effects. But the finale was also brought you into a destroyed town with some alien monster under it. And so things were blowing up out of the ground around your vehicles. And that was the finale scene for that backstage tour.
Oh, very cool.
And that I'm sad to see go. But again, neither of those parks are working studios, which is how they both started out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
Paris also has in Walt Disney Studios Park a version of Turtle Talk with Crush, but it's Stitch. And one of the nice things about Paris is that they offer the shows in both English and French. So you could pick to go to they would tell you what the times were.
Oh, okay.
So I went to the English one, and it's very similar, where Stitch makes his appearance, and they get the kids up front, and he answers all the questions, and he picks on a couple of the dads, and very similar to Turtle Talk with Crush, but this time just with Stitch. And that makes more sense. Stitch is very, very popular outside the United States.
Yeah. I mean, he's popular with a few of my friends too. It's not a character I got into.
The Tokyo version of the Enchanted Tiki Room stars Elvis Stitch, and it's in Japanese, and it was rather disturbing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, at Tokyo Disneyland, I learned when you have a good Jungle Cruise skipper, it doesn't matter if you don't understand a word they're saying.
Really?
Cruise skipper in Tokyo was hilarious, and I didn't care that I didn't speak Japanese.
Because usually it plays on words as far as I could tell. So
physicality stuff that just cracked me up. and she was just that good. As opposed to Hong Kong has Jungle Cruise, and you get in one of three lines because Hong Kong speaks Cantonese,
Mandarin.
mainland China speaks Mandarin, and then
Okay.
they do English because it's a former British colony. And
Right.
so, and she was not. It was more like, and here's my joke. Okay, and here's my joke. But the Jungle Cruise at Hong Kong has the best ending because you end up trapped in a little lagoon, which then blows up around you. You literally end up stuck. It was like, uh-oh, we can't go anywhere. And then you hear rumbles and rumbles and rumbles, and then steam blows and boulders blow. And then you come out and a cute little baby elephant waves goodbye to you, and that's the end.
Oh, how funny.
But you don't get a Jungle Cruise that does that, but Hong Kong has that.
That's very cool. Joe says my kid loves Stitch, and yeah, there's a whole anime show now running in the Far East with English dub by the Australians.
Oh God.
And then says, "Oh, cool, Japanese Japan cruise discussion." Yeah, that is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's funny.
What's your favorite Jungle Cruise?
I actually like Walt Disney World's better, although, and again, they haven't done it in a couple years. For Jingle Cruise, Disneyland knocked it out of the park because they redecorated, they saturated it with decorations.
Yeah.
As opposed to Walt Disney World put a few in, but when you have the elephants with bells hanging off their ears, and and you ended up with all this tinsel everywhere, and when you get to the scene where they're helping, the lions are guarding the sleeping zebra, and it's the plastic reindeer from a Santa set that they're dining on at California. And then they stopped doing Jingle Cruise a couple years ago, and I was like, oh man.
Oh, I didn't know they stopped.
Yeah, Disneyland has not done Jingle Cruise for a couple of years, and of course, obviously not this year. I did see a shot that they've got Jingle all the way up at Walt Disney World right now. So
yes, they do. They opened that up. Christmas is in full swing there. I mean, everything started on the 6th, but the Jingle Cruise went up, I think, the day after Halloween, November 1st.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to be back there at this point the weekend of the 20th to the 22nd. I'll be there just the 2 weekend days.
Okay.
And then I am back again for the holidays with 2 different traveling companions on 2 different sections of the trip. Like one does the first half and then one does the other. So I'm back for that as well. But that's also going to be some universal time. So, okay. So we've done, how are we doing on time? Good. So now we're talking, that was Tokyo.
Well, first of all, before I discuss Tokyo, I must tell you how to be a local at Tokyo.
Okay.
Number 1, you must have a Duffy the Disney Bear or one of his friends' heads.
As your purse.
Either around your neck as a purse or a backpack.
Yeah.
2, these are adults, by the way, not kids. 2, you must have a minimum of keychain, Duffy and friends hanging off your bags, usually and preferably 20 or more. 3, you also must have a reusable popcorn bucket hanging around your neck.
How do they walk?
They just do. Or there is 5 stores just on Duffy and Friends in Disney Sea. You could get like the skins and zip them up. The jackets that make you look like Duffy and Shelley May. I don't have Cookie because Cookie came out later. Cookie's the dog. Okay. I do have all of the others in some form. Gelatoni, the artist cat, is my favorite.
Okay.
But anyway, so Tokyo Disneyland. My favorite attraction, and you'll hear this left and right, Pooh's Honey Hunt.
Really? What's different?
Thank God we got fast passes because the line for that was 90 minutes all day. Again, the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which is in every single, Winnie the Pooh is very, very popular overseas, particularly in Asia. In fact, one of the parks has, instead of a teacup ride, it's honey pots that spin.
Wow.
It's trackless. and it's just a hoot because again, you're dancing in and out of everybody. You get into the Tigger room where, Walt Disney World will make the track bounce you.
Right.
No, you were all in front of him and Tigger appears and goes, and now we bounce. And suddenly your vehicle just starts bouncing.
Oh, wow.
And you get into the Heffalumps and Woozle room and you're weaving in and out. And all of a sudden you realize there's a vehicle there that wasn't there before. And it's Heffalumps and Woozles dressed as tourists wearing Mickey Mouse ears, taking your photo as they weave in and out. And then it's random when you go out, but you hit a thing that blows air at you and it either sends you into the next room forwards or backwards or sideways. And it just, again, these trackless rides and Pooh's Honey Hunt, really, I will say, and somebody can correct me on this, I think it was the first. But Pooh's Honey Hunt is just so much fun.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Just as a heads up, we are at 7:50-ish. Are you okay going longer, or you got to tell me what you're?
I'm fine.
Okay, all right. Because I'd love to be able to get through all of these. Okay, so then the Disney.
So Tokyo Disney Sea. I have to get the name right on this one. Okay. I did ride Journey to the Center of the Earth. Again, we fast passed it. It's got great stuff in there, but the ride is too short, in my opinion.
What is it? Because I was always curious.
It's basically you go down an elevator and you get into these Jules Verne style rockets, and you go through these gem forest and stuff, and then you shoot yourself back out and go fast. So it's another combo. But given how long that line was, and even us fast passing it was long.
Gotcha.
Wow. It just right. This is going to be a weird one. The Nemo and Friends Sea Rider was my favorite.
Okay.
It's basically an incredibly large motion simulator that is designed to be like you were on one of the research vessels from the Marine Life Institute from Finding Dory.
Okay.
And Hank and the seals are in the queue, as opposed to the mines.
Okay.
And it just was really, really well done.
Cool.
And it was mostly in English also. Tokyo does another hybrid of Japanese and English all the time.
Okay. Randy said Pooh was the first trackless ride.
Thank you, Randy. I thought it was, but Pooh is so much fun.
Okay, cool. The bouncing would be great. Just so you know, in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, you conga.
Oh God, I'd love that.
Your car congas. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
Hopefully that did not give too much away to anybody there. Sorry. All right, so that was Disney Tokyo. Then we want Hong Kong Disneyland.
Hong Kong it's Mystic Manor, which we've discussed, but I will give you my number 2. And again, I'm going to get the name right on this one. Big Grizzly Mountain Railroad Runaway Mine Cars, which also opened at the same time as Mystic Manor. And it's like, it's a new land. It's a cute little land, Grizzly Gulch.
Gotcha.
Imagine, if you will, a roller coaster that is a combination of the Country Bears, Big Thunder Mountain, and Expedition Everest.
Does it go backwards?
A little bit of it does.
Ew.
So, but it's not intense, is the thing. Everest, when it goes backwards, my eyes are closed. I've learned how to ride Everest without a defibrillator. So you have these cute bears, and I'm not kidding. They look like they should belong in Country Bears.
Okay.
And they have taken over this abandoned mine, and they really seem excited about that you're in the mine cars, that they keep trying to kill you.
Oh my God.
So they're constantly, So every time you turn around, kind of like the goat is chewing the dynamite at Disneyland, and I always tell him not to do that. So they'll be like, oh, wait a minute. Wouldn't it be fun if we push down on this TNT while we're playing teeter-totter? And that sends you backwards. It's just hilarious. And that's what I think is funny about it, is that, like I said, you have a little bit of backwards from Everest. You have Big Thunder Mountain for the rest of it. And you're basically being terrorized by super cute country bears.
That's just wrong. That's just
Wrong
so
on so
wrong.
many levels.
Okay. All right. So then we're into no, Hong Kong. Does that have a second park?
That was Hong Kong. No, Hong Kong
It
has
only
one
has the
park.
one. Okay, then Shanghai. And Shanghai has
Shanghai
two,
again.
correct?
Shanghai for me. No, Shanghai have one. Shanghai again. It's the Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah.
Battle for the Sunken Treasure. But I will also mention they have a really in their Tomorrowland. They have probably the best Buzz Lightyear version. Again, it's as if you built Buzz Lightyear after with today's technology because
Gotcha.
it's digital targets and they
Oh, nice.
randomly change when you're shooting them. So it's
Oh,
called
wow.
Buzz,
So you really, how do you
Buzz
know they've changed?
Lightyear Planet Rescue. So it'll be again, as you, if anybody knows, if you ride Walt Disney World's Buzz Lightyear,
Well,
because
I get Galactic Hero once in a while. It's hard.
but at Disneyland, number one, you can pick up the blasters.
Right.
Two, the targets are different sizes, so you know roughly what's a better one. And I also know where every single 100,000 thing is in both rides because Patrick looks them up. But with this Buzz Lightyear, again, you can pick the guns up and you're shooting lasers, and again, all of a sudden, a round target will turn to a giant triangle target, and it's all digital, which
Right.
again means the current technology does it. And so
Right.
that was a lot of fun. The other thing that I really like, again, Shanghai is a very beautiful park. And the garden area, which is where you have the Fantasia carousel, the only one of the carousels that are not princess related because it's all Fantasia.
Is that the one that has like the year of and the year of, and it's all the different characters? Is those?
That's a separate thing. That's
Garden.
the garden. Okay. That's the Garden of the 12 Friends, which is one of the pictures that I gave you,
right,
where they use Disney characters for the Chinese zodiac.
Yeah.
And there's a couple places where they had to stretch it to get there.
Yeah.
For example, on Year of the Ox, they used Babe, the Big Blue Ox from Paul Bunyan, who was part of one of the compilation films. So that works.
Yeah.
Alan a Dale from Robin Hood
was a rooster.
Yeah. Year of the Sheep. That's where they had their problem. They used the Jolly Holiday Lambs from Mary Poppins.
Oh, at least they were in a movie.
That's the closest they could get.
I guess they don't have a whole lot of sheep. Joe says in WDW, I keep hearing If You Had Wings in my head, especially the final speed tunnel.
Oh, yeah, I do too. I miss If You Had Wings.
Yeah. At 3.5 after our first day.
Airlines.
What?
Brought to you by Eastern Airlines.
I remember seeing this kid. At 3.5 after our first day at Disneyland, the kid woke up, looked me square in the face and said, Daddy, I want to go blast aliens again.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one. I mean, I think actually, because I kept thinking about it, I think Jungle Cruise is probably my favorite at Disney, just because of the jokes.
Oh yeah.
And then it's a tie between Haunted Mansion and Buzz Lightyear, just because I know where the targets are in Disney World, so I have fun shooting at them.
I do too, but like Disneylands are better. Anyway,
I know.
We'll have an argument about that.
They tell you basically by where you need to hit.
Well, except there's also the hidden 100,000 mark on Zurg, which a lot of people don't know is there.
The bottom center one?
No, this is at Disneyland. The first time you encounter Zurg, he has no target on him, but there's a cross in the middle of his armor and his chest, and if you hit it dead center, you get 100,000 or 50,000. It's randomized.
Nice. That's very
There's
cool.
also a couple of others that can tell you about later.
Okay. Shaggy says Haunted Mansion will always be his number one. Well, that was her number one. Hatbox Ghost Rules.
Oh, I love Haunted. I love when again they teased putting the Hatbox box. If you don't know the history of Hatbox, he was supposed to be there from 1969. It didn't work.
Then the ads.
And then in D23 in 2015 in the Imagineering Pavilion, they were playing with it, and then he went in, and he's fabulous.
Yeah,
but really I said it kills me that I put Phantom above the Disneyland because all of the mansions have their qualities. The worst is Tokyo because it's just a copy. And I
Right.
was there and they were doing their version of Haunted Mansion Holiday. And they don't even do, Disneyland does an actual gingerbread cake every year that's huge.
Oh wow.
And it just doesn't, yeah, they every year in the ballroom scene, Disneyland builds a gingerbread cake every year for
Does
that.
it smell like gingerbread and like?
Yes, it
Oh
does, and it's real.
wow.
Last year that was the 50th anniversary, so
Right.
it had the hitchhiking ghost out of the top of it. But
Oh my
every year they
God.
do something new. And Tokyo's, it looked like it was just tacked on decorations. I was
Right.
very disappointed in that mansion. And the Fantasyland at Tokyo Disneyland disappointed me because again, you could just tell. Like you said, we want this ride from Walt Disney World. We want this ride version from Disneyland, and that's what they built,
Right. Right.
at Tokyo.
Which is yucky. Which is yucky.
Yeah.
Pardon
But
me.
there are good things in Tokyo Disneyland, but mostly the newer stuff that they have added.
Let's see. Joe says, yeah, I was going to bring that up. Your take on the overlay at Disneyland they do. Well, there you go. So you talked about it. And
well,
then,
again, with the overlay with Disneyland, if you don't know, they shut down for 2 weeks to do it. And it's
Yeah.
not just cover stuff. They literally remove
rebuild
half
it.
the things that are in there and rebuild it.
yeah. Yeah, I
And
didn't realize it until I recently watched someone's like drive-through. I'm like, wait, what? This is
Disneyland, yeah, last December, when I had my penance trip to Disneyland with my son, I wanted him to see Haunted Mansion Holiday. He'd never seen it. And I
wow.
had seen it a few years before.
Yeah.
And yeah.
He says, I love how well Corey Burton does the voice and the nod to
Yes.
having Leota's daughter reprise the role.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
cool. It's very cool. Okay. Did you said your favorite in Shanghai was that? Okay. Favorite resort hotel you stayed at that was Disney property? I know Tokyo doesn't have one.
We didn't stay at Tokyo. Tokyo does have hotels.
Oh, that's right. It's right over the entrance. Like you can look into
actually, no, we did stay. We stayed at Hotel Miracosta, which is over the entrance of Tokyo Disney Sea.
Right.
Which is a beautiful hotel. The Tokyo Disneyland, it connects to a train station out of Tokyo, and so does the monorail. It is the only monorail system at Disney that is a paid, because it's actually transportation.
Regular
And it
monorail.
has 4 stops. The train station, which is also their version of Downtown Disney.
Right.
It goes to Tokyo Disneyland. It goes to a grouping of hotels, which are like Hilton and Sheraton and things like that.
Gotcha. Right.
And then it goes to Tokyo Disney Sea, stopping really where you go one direction to go down to go in the park, and the other direction to go to the Hotel Miracosta, which is where we were staying.
Wow.
We did not stay at Shanghai because we were staying downtown. They were both day trips out with VIP guides that we paid for. We had a 6-hour guide at Shanghai who worked at Walt Disney World in the China Pavilion for a year.
Oh wow.
And we had a 3-hour guide at Hong Kong, and that was about what you needed. The only thing that we really didn't get to do at Hong Kong, and if you don't know this, Hong Kong takes Halloween really, really seriously. Hong Kong is the only theme park that's Disney owned where they do these mazes. They take over that Alice maze and a couple of other big mazes, and they're scary walkthroughs. And the lines were so
Really?
long, we didn't do them. Yeah, Hong Kong really likes scary Halloween. Yeah.
Wow. They'd be all into Universal then, because
Oh, yeah.
What do we got here? Shaggy says, from what I understand, a lot of the stuff from the overlay is stored in the ride itself during the off season in dark areas that you can't see and underneath. I think his number 2 ride at this time is Spaceship Earth. Oh, I love Spaceship Earth. I love the smells, which is about to get changed. They're now talking about getting
now it's delayed. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they don't know. Dark Light. Shaggy loves dark rides from the bottom of his heart.
Yes.
I'm with him on
Yes.
that.
In terms of the resorts that we stay at, I am a Disney Vacation Club member.
Right.
And I would say that I really, really like Animal Kingdom Lodge. Particularly for me, I like Kidani. Jumbo House has that hybrid of both.
Right.
rooms and villas. And so I've stayed out at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and I just love the thing. The only thing that's wrong, I don't like, is how long it takes to walk to the lobby
Yeah.
when I've never run Disney. I consider that my warm up, walking to the bus at 4 in the morning.
That's funny.
And the
Okay.
same thing with Boardwalk. Boardwalk has terrible elevators, and you can end up half a mile down the hallway before you actually get to your room. You know?
Okay. That's good to know.
We really like the Disneyland Hotel in Paris where we stayed. The New York hotel, and this is a very different thing from US again,
Right.
it was being transformed into a Marvel hotel.
I heard about that. Yeah.
And unlike what happens in California and Florida, where if they're doing massive amounts of construction, Saratoga Springs, Polynesian, they keep part of the park open, and it looks the building's open and it looks terrible, and you're walking through all this construction.
Right.
They were going to close it down half, and the public said, we don't want to stay there. So they shut down the entire hotel at once. And so it was closed when we were there because it was undergoing. So Paris just shut down one of their major hotels because the French people didn't want to stay there while
They
it was
would be
under
coming and staying, and you've got a lot of locals. Well, you've got a lot of Brits and local Europeans that come and stay there generally.
Exactly. Especially during half terms and things like that.
Opu Boardwalk Opu Boardwalk may still consider if we pony up, as I like having the micro brew. Well, you can go across the street to Yacht and Beach Club, honey.
Oh
yeah. Yacht Club. I just stayed at. It was gorgeous.
There too. Yeah.
I never stayed anywhere but the Value Resorts one day. That was shaggy. And while the changes for Spaceship Earth got postponed, I think they probably won't ever be done until the crowds get bigger again. Yeah, I think
absolutely. Same thing with the postponement of Cherry Tree Lane in the UK.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They've
back.
even taken it off. They've taken it off Epcot's new stuff coming. It's like
who knows? You know.
Yeah. I just don't spend much time in the hotel when I take a trip. Yeah, and I don't a lot, but I've done it. Joe's saying likely he'll be at Art of Animation next time that they head south. Yeah. I mean, I've done. Go ahead.
Yeah, my son, first of all, my son lives in Florida. So we go down a lot. Usually. This year, not at all. Although technically we're supposed to go next Friday. We're having discussions as to whether we're going, and we're staying in one of the Copper Creek cabins at Wilderness Lodge on DVC points.
Right.
I go so much, and very frequently I'm going down there because I'm running races with Run Disney.
Right.
And honest to God, if, a lot of people are like, I want to be in the theme parks sunrise to sunset. Well, I've gone to Walt Disney World so many times. I don't need to do that anymore. Right. And if I'm racing,
you're also an AP, correct?
Yeah. And I've got an annual pass and all of this. And so for me, especially when I'm doing a race weekend, I'm taking a good portion of the day before the race off. I'm usually over at ESPN picking up stuff I need.
Right.
I'm getting up at 2:30, 3 in the morning to take a bus to go to a race, and I get back and I will be spending time in a spa, especially if I'm doing a 10K or a half marathon.
Once they reopen.
Because I believe in spas. I am a spa junkie. I usually have spa treatments and the spa.
What's your favorite spa out of all of these resorts?
Aulani.
Oh man, yeah. So what do they do there?
Aulani has an entire quote unquote rainforest relaxation garden.
Right. And each of the little rocks has a different type of shower from it. Is that?
Well, no. This is actually, Aulani has the best Disney spa period. And I'm even throwing in the cruise ships on that. And I've done, I book like 3 or 4 spa treatments on the cruise ships.
Okay.
So you go in and they say, pick a rock and it has a word on it. And that's your mantra for the day. And they ask you to toss it into a pool of life. And then they give you all these like things to smell. And then you get changed and they say, go out here and relax out here until we're ready to come get you. And it's a big garden with a large wall and you can't hear the kids screaming in the pool across the way. And it has hot and cold running pools, and it has heated spot saunas, and it has all of this stuff where you can just curl up and take naps. And when you're done, you want to go back out there and just sleep there all day, and you have access to it all day.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
That is
Aulani's amazing with that.
Randy wants to know what your favorite hotel at Disneyland is.
I am going to say, and I've stayed at all three, I actually like the Disneyland Hotel best. I
Okay.
do love Grand California, and I think it has a lot of great atmosphere. But Disneyland Hotel, it had with the towers and stuff, and you have one of the greatest redesigned pools with the monorail pool they put in the middle, and you can't the original Trader Sam's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the one out here in the Walt Disney World.
But yeah, but the Disneyland one, where if you don't know what you're doing and you order the wrong drink and things happen to you, or you sit at the wrong bench and things happen to you.
Oh no, that happens in the one in Disney World.
Oh, I know. But but being able to go there when it's a D23 expo and you show up there at 9:00 at night with a couple hundred people and there's Imagineers hanging out there too.
Okay, that's different. That's kind of cool.
That's different. The time I did the Ultimate Disney Trivia Tournament, and I went and hung out with one of the podcasters carrying my prizes because I was a semifinalist, and said, "Look, I got to take home the home game." But, my own copy, and it's still shrink wrapped, of the Disney Trivial Pursuit game, which is what I got for being a semifinalist.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Well, you're also a Jeopardy winner. You're just.
I'm also a Jeopardy champion. Yeah.
All right. So what do we got here? My goal is to be able to go to a couple times a year or to make the big move, but I haven't been since 2019 in the spring. That's Shaggy. Yeah, I mean, it's you got to do what's right for you. When I go, if I'm staying off property, it's Ubers and stuff. But when I'm doing, when I stay on property, if I'm by myself, I'm staying in Pop generally. I'm going to be staying in Caribbean Beach, however you want to pronounce it. I've stayed in Caribbean Beach. I'm going to be staying in Coronado Springs this next stop in the Tower.
Oh, at Destino?
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It really is. I've eaten up top.
Yes, I have too.
Dahlia is going to be open now, but not Topolino's.
No, because that's in
Toledo. Toledo won't be open.
Toledo's amazing, and I can't wait till it opens. Also, one of the best places up there with Dahlia and Toledo to watch fireworks from a distance.
Yeah. Because
you can see Epcot and you can see Hollywood Studios, and as I say, the backside of Galaxy's Edge is visible.
Yes. Oh my God, that was a story. You see like sticks with rocks sticking out. Black Spire Outposts, just sticks.
Yep.
They look like Christmas trees that are made out of. It's hysterical.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did that. That was my March trip with Drew. We went and we got to eat at Toledo, and yeah, it was very cool. I got some nice.
Oh yeah, Toledo's amazing.
Yeah, I enjoyed that food a lot. Favorite signature restaurant?
Sinai.
Which one?
Sinai.
And
it's in Disney's Animal Kingdom, Kidani Village. Yeah, it's a little bit different. I also like Jiko, which is the more high end over at Jumbo. Sanaa.
Okay.
I love the naan bread with all of the different toppings. I love the butter chicken. It's one of those where you're feeling a little bit fancier, but you still can do the sharing thing, which I think really helps with stuff like that. So that is probably my favorite.
Yeah, I like Sanaa, and I like going there for lunch because then you can see all the animals while you're eating.
We actually did breakfast down there once because they were offering breakfast once, and one of the East African crown cranes kept coming up because they go through the little barricade right up to the window and kept staring at Patrick while he was eating, and it was kind of hilarious.
That's what they look like when they eat.
Exactly.
Oh, funny. Very cool. Yeah, no, I love Sanaa. Okay, cool. Very cool. Favorite bar? And it could, again, anywhere. And we may have already addressed it. I don't know.
I think, again, it's probably Trader Sam's in Disneyland.
Yeah. Randy says Trader Sam's is great. Joe says, odd for me, done Disney once as an adult in 2007 and Disneyland 5 times. Now it's easier to do out there with friends, often for other reasons. Shaggy says, never done Disneyland before, but I grew up going to Disney World, and it's just a cheaper trip in general, at least for you. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because when I actually stayed at my timeshare, which was near Carlsbad Beach, so it was like an hour away. So we drive in every morning to go to Disneyland, but
Right.
That way, my hotel was covered.
Right. I will say this: favorite treat that you only get at Disneyland, and I finally snagged one last December.
Which is?
I got the handmade candy cane. If you don't know about this, it's Disneyland only, and they now do it. They do it 3 days a week. They make 3 batches when they do them, only 150 per batch, so 450 a day.
So they're expensive.
They sell out they're $10. They're huge. They're like 18 inches long.
Okay.
They're hand-pulled, handmade candy canes.
Wow.
And they used to only do them at the confectionery on Main Street, and they added the one on Buena Vista Street. So now they alternate what day they're doing.
Gotcha.
And I've always wanted to, but I had never been out there in December when they do it. And this last trip. So I got up because the tip was an hour before the park opens, go get in line at the gate. And then you briskly walk straight there, and they hand out the wristbands. And the first batch is now, and then the next one will have the second time, and then the third time. And they're all wrapped, and they're also in bubble wrap, and you're allowed one. And I got my one, and I then stuck it in my carry-on and flew it to Hawaii, and it didn't break. And on Christmas Day, we broke into it, and it was probably one of the best candy canes I've ever tasted in my life.
So what was different in the flavor?
I think it was also the texture. Some of the commercialized ones, they're so rock hard.
Yeah.
They had that, it was crunchy, but the middle had that softness you get like you do sometimes.
Like a real taffy pull.
Really, really good. Yeah. But they're hand done, and I had never been able to score one, and that was one of my favorite things that I've ever done.
So Joe says his favorite restaurant at WDW was Raglan Road. He went there 3 times the 1 week. Just wonderful atmosphere and very fast service. Yeah. Granted, they didn't do the expensive steak places. Yeah. And then Shaggy says Raglan Road is good. Been there a few times. I still want to do Boathouse and Homecoming. Oh my God, Homecoming.
I've done Homecoming. Oh my God, that chicken.
I can't have that chicken.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. But the deviled eggs. I don't like deviled eggs. Those deviled eggs are to die for.
Yes, they are.
Oh my God.
I will go, but for Disney Springs, I'm going to shout out a little unusual, and I'm going to the Edison, the Speakeasy.
Really?
Last year, Kevin and I went.
Yeah.
And I wore capri pants and my stereotypically striped Disneyland pair of shirt and my beret, and we waltzed in there, and he's looking like, we both look like beatniks. And we got compliments from the staff at how good we looked in there, and ordered the signature cocktails, and they do candied bacon and things like that. And they're showing old 1930s movies and jazz music, and they have jazz musicians. Yeah. And if we make it down there, we're going there with a couple of our friends who live in Winter Haven, because I think that the wife in particular, she belongs in a speakeasy. Bonnie belongs. But yeah.
She I love the mixology of the bartenders there is amazing. Like they have 12 or 15 different types of bitters and very creative stuff. Drew and I sat up at the top bar, that little 4 or 6 seater top bar. Yeah. And we had drinks up there, but I've not eaten there yet. Yeah.
I love the atmosphere of the Edison, but there's some great stuff in Disney Springs.
Oh God, Morimoto.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Sprinkles.
Yes.
Aaron McKenna sometimes. For me at least. I think I'm House of Blues. I think Randy is going back to. Brief and Jeannie are going to be going there. I've not tried that, but it's like, I love Homecoming, but it's like I can eat only a few things on the menu.
Right.
But I love their honey lavender cocktail if they still have it. And what was the other one they mentioned? Was Boathouse. Have you been?
I've been to Boathouse. We've not done the boats. I mean, I like
Oh,
watching.
the Amphicar. I haven't done the
Yeah,
Amphicar.
I haven't done it.
Now the boathouse, the first time I went, I was really disappointed in the service.
Yeah.
All the food
It
came
can
out
be hit and
at
miss.
once, and it was just rushed and unpleasant, and I hated it, and I didn't want to go back. And then I kept hearing all these people rave about it, so I finally went back with Darcy and had an amazing dinner. Just wonderful. I wish they would bring back the Adventurers Club. Congaloosh!
Congaloosh! I never got to go because I was my kid was under 10.
No.
And I always loved the idea of the nightclub section at Downtown Disney being Pleasure Island, named after the place in Pinocchio where children go to be turned into asses.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was accurate.
And it was accurate. And one of the fun things, so D23, which is the Disney fan club for those that don't know, there are two big things they do is the D23 Expo in Anaheim and Destination D in Walt Disney World. Right. And when they did one about, it was attractions that attraction rewinds. It was things that didn't exist. And they always do a last night party. So this was the 2016. They brought back the adventurers from the Adventurers Club and did the show because they still exist.
Yeah, they were up until a few weeks ago.
Yeah, they still are around and they still trot them out for special events.
Well, all right. So you remember Laura, who used to be on cast?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. She used to work in Lights, Motors, Action.
Right.
Also,
I saw her do it once.
Me too. Yeah, with Scott Sophus. She also worked as the with Chris Kahn in England doing the street theater.
Yes.
And the third actor was one of the guys from the Adventurers Club.
Of course. Yeah.
So it's a little world, tying worlds together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Paddlefish. I had a character breakfast there in the early 80s when it was still a Disney run. Yep. Otherwise, most of those are new since 2007. Oh yeah. Most of Disney Springs is almost totally new. I love that sort of atmospheric stuff. Bring back the Dreamfinder. I would love to have seen Dreamfinder.
I'd love to. I remember Dreamfinder, and I know all three versions of Imagination Ride, and the first one is still the best.
Yeah. And
there's talk that they were going to redo at least the ImageWorks parts of it, but it desperately. That's one of the Epcot the entire pavilion needs a rehaul, to be honest.
Yeah, I would love to see the idea of bringing back that core of what imagination means and what it could mean and stuff. Yeah. I just would love to do that. All right, so guys, we are at about an hour, almost an hour and a half. We're at 8:21. So we're going to probably tie this up for now. Yep. And if you guys want to see Diane again, just let me know in the comments. You can comment down below if you're still here. Throw it in the chat.
When I'm not doing Giant Panda Baby, which I'm doing right now. So not right now, but
Giant Panda Baby.
We love Giant Panda Baby. It's the best thing that's happened in 2020.
Oh yeah, Shaggy got to ride the original too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. God. So if you guys have any last questions for Diane before we finish out today, get them in the chat now. We'll talk for like another minute just in case. If you have not done so already and you are part of watching this show and you're enjoying this conversation, please remember to like this channel, hit the subscribe button. You can hit the bell notification down there that lets you know when I'm posting again and when things are happening so you can be involved. We are getting back to the parks again, so there's more footage coming up and more exciting stuff happening. Woo.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you want to have Diane come back and chat more, I may have some other cast members that I might be able to pull in here and do some chats with. Let me know what you want to see. Do we have any other questions? I do not see any. I think we are good then. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure. We're talking and chatting with all of you. Is that a cat? It's a cat. We have a cat. I have a cat face. I'm not. Okay, cool. But thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Diane. This has been wonderful. Love sharing the stories, and I want to pick your brain more at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm gonna close everything off here, and I may ping you back in a second, but I think we are good, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and